Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew. It's the weekend, and things are pretty cool. It was a real crappy week, but it all came out fine, so I can't complain. I'll find a place to complain sooner or later. Kung Fu Fighter. Much like a lot of Bronze Age books, it didn't last long and had a handful of creators. And oddly enough, I bought this online when I saw that Jack Kirby had worked on it. Now I had the Jack Kirby, what is it, the DC Universe 2-volume set with Kirby, but I don't remember having this one. I really don't. I don't know who did the cover. That looks like a Neil Adams studio guy, like Mike Nasser or something like that, because of the cross hatching, and it's really nice. Really nice. I like how it says Kung Fu Fighter or Richard Dragon here, and then it says it a second time just to make sure you didn't get it. But this is very odd. Well, based on a novel by Jim Dennis, he leaves footnotes in here too. He's sort of the editor, and Dean O'Neill's the writer. This is just like at the same time when a couple issues of Justice Inc. with the Avenger from the pulps. Kirby did 2 issues of that. He did a couple issues here and there. It was basically, he was running his time down at DC before he started at Marvel again. So he kind of went wherever they wanted him. And then he also created new stuff. Like, it sounds silly, but Dingbats of Danger Street, Atlas, so many others I can't recall at the time. But, he was a good soldier. And sometimes that's not the best way to handle your career, and it's not a knock against him. It's just that his gifts, his ability to create universes before that it was even a thing, that's never really been duplicated adequately. That's testament to how powerful he was as a creator, and he believed in himself, but he was a little shy of the industry because he did get shit on a lot. So let's see, is that a crumb? Nope, that's just a printer thing. So this is very odd. D. Bruce Berry is inking it, and I kind of like his stuff. But what's weird is, this is all kung fu stuff, and most comic artists really have to struggle to get the right poses and such. And some of this is Kirby maybe looking at some stuff. Maybe he's he's just trying to get an idea or the impression of these are actual moves. One thing for sure, though, is Kirby learned judo in the war, and you'll see in a lot of Captain America Tales of Suspense books that he uses judo. Lots of people use judo. I love that. She bites his hand. Classic Kirby face, too. So he's ready to chase them down. These guys are like, hey, what's your hurry, fella? They trip him, Hey, it looks like he's running away from something. Hey, probably just mugged somebody. Now he's too sissy to be a mugger. It's like, boy, you guys. It's like, but then he says, it basically exposition out the yin yang. Don't give us orders. Maybe he don't know that we're students of Wan Chang Karate School, which is where we were before we stopped at Freddy's for a few cold ones. It's so fun. It's like nobody asked you. I mean, and the other thing, it's the old trope of like the bad karate school, kind of like in the Karate Kid, that kind of stuff. But I like the Bruce Berry's inks for some reason. They have a little more flexibility, I think. Mike Royer is great, and he does really solid, hard, imagery that complements Kirby's hard figure work. But once in a while, I like to see this kind of stuff. And Frank Giacoya was my all-time favorite on the Mad Bomb saga, Captain America. This is the old thing. I'm not blaming this comic. This is a million tropes. He's looking at a car. Coming this way, traveling at least 70 miles an hour. I haven't a chance of stopping them. And I'm like, well, you would have been stopped right there. So some nice, Oriental design doors. Some really nice stuff here. And what's funny is, even with all the creators, same with Cobra, with a K, around this time, it was different creators almost every issue, and it is a lot of fun. I'm really glad somebody had mentioned it, and I looked at this guy's face cracks me up. His eyes are too close. He just looks like deranged, baby. So this guy wants to get Mr. Dragon, which is the whole point of the story. And this guy's going to videotape it. And look at that. This is right about the time of the DC explosion where they had so many new books come out. And look at the variety. You had House of Mystery, you had Phantom Stranger, you had, I guess, also House of Mystery, Spectre, somebody else, and Swamp Thing. And then you got Justice Inc. with the Kirby pose, Tor by Joe Kubert, Warlord by Mike Grell, Kong by somebody, Beowulf, I always go, Beowulf, which is like the end of some of those Warner Brother cartoons. Stalker by Ditko and Wood, Claw by, I have no idea. So they had a lot more variety than Marvel did as time went on, but it all ended up superheroes. I'll exaggerate. But like this is neat and it's probably right, but it's just that his legs and his figure work at that time looked like blocks of granite and kind of doesn't suggest much movement. But that's okay. Kirby's doing his best. This is pretty cool though. He gets choked by the nunchucks. So it proves that like Richard Dragon isn't invulnerable. Blam blam. Da. That guy there cracks me up. I'm gonna get you. And this is pretty cool. The guy with the axe or the scythe, he falls, and the cameraman falls and lands right on the scythe, which will gore him, but because it's the comics code, doesn't show. But you know what? I like this better. It makes you think about it. It just kind of like, whoa. Use your imagination. All these treasure editions. Lubberly. I'm surprised they're not. Anyway, I'm just babbling. So he gets out. A Time to Be a Whirlwind. Next issue is by Rick Estrada and Wally Wood. So this is the only Kirby Kung Fu Fighter. So if you don't know of this, pick it up if you're Kirbyite. So Marvel Comics presents. It was a real interesting grab bag. For long, it had Wolverine every channel, most every issue, and then later when Ghost Rider got really big, the two of them were co-headlining the book forever, up to like issue 150. Wraparound cover, it's pretty neat. And supposedly, which is I'm kind of shocked when I read this, it says Steve Purcell, who I admire. I love Sam and Max Freelance Police. I remember buying the individual specials that came out from different publishers, and then eventually they got collected into a trade paperback. Then it became a cartoon. It became a video game. And Steve Purcell, he was sort of ahead of the curve on humor. His sense of humor of callbacks to old TV shows or orange marshmallow peanuts, just like the strangest stuff that you see today, very casual. He was like ahead of the curve on that sort of humor. So his books still hold up very well. So this is some real nice printing, because I have some of the issues that John Buscema did in here of Wolverine, and they were horrible. And he's inking himself. And there's a patch. Wolverine, I know nothing of this Wolverine. So, got the costume on. Dig it. And that's my favorite costume. I know what they went with yellow and blue when Jim Lee came on board, but I really, really miss this costume. It just kind of fits into like the wilderness more. It's not as garish. But that's just me. Look at these horses. Horses are hard to draw. Buscema could draw anything, but from what I understand, they're hard to draw. So now we go to Wonder Man. And one of my favorite characters, and they kind of made him crappy after a while. It's written by Michael Higgins, who was assistant editor, then the regular editor, then Javier Saltares, who would start with the very first issue of Daniel Ketch Ghost Rider, and inked by Jose Marzan, who's inked quite a few things at the time. So it looks really nice. And you know what? It's like Wonder Man. People are like, "Oh, it's a joke and everything." And these two guys, they're auditioning. That's exactly what they're doing. They're auditioning. And I know as a freelancer, it's like you're only as good as your last job, and then eventually you get bigger and bigger. Like he got to do Ghost Rider, which was the hottest book for quite a while in the '90s, and I remember being the same way when I finally got to do like DC's 52 and Batman, but you know, it was like, gotta make it look cool. So beautiful, not really nice battle. This I'm just covering this up because it's a spoiler. Hercules by babyface Bob Layton, which has never been reprinted. The first two miniseries were reprinted, but it's like a three-parter at least for Hercules by Bob Layton, pencils and inks and writing. And then he did the graphic novel, which came out in '88 or so. Then he did a 3 or 4 issue miniseries around '99 called Twilight of a God. And it was the third miniseries, so they should collect them all. It would be awesome. It's like, take my money. And I love that upgrade on the suit. You know, it's really cool. And then just the orange and green. Yeah, that's badass. That Hercules helmet too. So, anyway. Freedom Force, which is the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants hired by the government. And it's ridiculous because like people like the Blob and Pyro and Avalanche, you know, they just cause all kinds of chaos, and somehow they're supposed to still be considered the good guys because they're on the government payroll. It's just silly, but it's by Scott Lobdell, pencil by Dave Cockrum, inked by Bruce Patterson. So that's a great team. Bruce Patterson's one of those inkers who he's fallen under the radar. He's always been magnificent. He did a lot more DC stuff, though. He actually inked Brian Ball and did an issue of Camelot 2000. The Senator Kelly, the one who wants to get rid of mutants, he's in some South American, you know, like a generic one of those, what do you call those? Banana Republics, I guess they call it. But it's led. They're basically hypnotized by this creature who came down. He came out of nowhere. And talking to him again, but it is Mystique. Mystique. And there's the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Now, I love this because here comes some people who are trying to fight the Freedom Force. The Grip. 5 of them all. They each adorned in specially tailored exoskeletons. Napalm, Vice, Windmill, Uzi, and Sprint. And, you know, it basically is a disaster. But that's pretty cool there. Let me get the tar knocked out of him. Like, if you're ever in America, yes, drop dead. That's a very blobbish thing to say. Now we go to Crossfire, which was it is a spin-off of D&A Agents, which was a Eclipse title that lasted a couple of years. And then they rebooted it with cheaper paper and sold it for 75 cents, which was the same rate as regular Marvel and DC comics, because so many of Eclipse comics, like First Comics, were on heavy stock paper, and I always thought that was detrimental. It's like art-wise, that is a very cool thing, and it's a very smart thing, but it kept me from buying a lot of comic books because I just had, limited funds. So once in a while, like when Nexus and Badger came out, I had to get those because those begged you to buy the next issue. So I got this recently. It's Mark Evanier, who started off assisting Jack Kirby way back when. And he jokes about being an assistant. He's sort of just, he was sort of like a guy who'd come around and, I don't know, help Jack keep continuity, sort of. Even though Jack continuity. Dan Spiegel, legendary artist, Crossfire. Dan Spiegel on the art. Great colors by Carrie Spiegel. Oh, I don't know if that's a wife or a daughter. Look at the clothes. It's so great. But what's odd is it ends. There's like all these endings. Why does it have to end like this? The end. and you go to this hack comedian who everybody hates, and he just gets in the way all the time. He's like, book me, book me. Love that face of the producer. No one saw much of Joey after that. For him, it was truly the end. And these are like 3-page vignettes. I'm like, why are we stopping so short? Look at the folds in those clothes, baby. That is a magnificent pose there. And then somebody comes in and shoots somebody else. It happened that quickly, just to serve, or at least force-fed, for this small-time dealer. It was the end. And then we go back to this guy, Sammy Flavin, the comedian guy. Oh, no. That's the guy who runs he has the show. And there's that guy. He shows up again. And then it says, the end. I don't know why it's saying the end. It should be like chapter 4, chapter this. It's such an odd thing. And that's the only time in all the billions of comics I've read that like say, like here he goes. A thought he carried for 3 nights. There was no answer readily apparent. It looked like the dead proverbial end. Man, look at that Craig Russell. Oh. Wow. See, now we come back to The Witness. And it is the end. It makes me cuckoo. Of course, a stiff gust of air makes me cuckoo, so I'm not that far off. There he is. He's an outlaw, but he's a thief. And it was like star-crossed lovers when he and Rainbow of the DNA agents got together. So, this book that everybody pretty much has read if they're a long-time comic fan, or even not a long-time comic fan, but it's John Byrne writing and penciling. He decided to have the Thing meet the early Thing from like issue 2, who was mean as a snake, no sense of humor, and even grosser somehow, whereas the current Thing looked more like a teddy bear. And so you got Joe Sinnott on the Yanks, words and pictures. I think this may be Byrne's first writing. I don't know, because shortly thereafter he does Fantastic Four 220 and 221. So looking for another cure. And he talks about how your body was akin to dinosaur hide, and then to its present rock-like state. And he's like, we'll have to more. He says, I'm afraid my studies show that your body is becoming more and more comfortable as the Thing. The latest formula of mine could have cured you years ago, but now, I'm sorry, I'll have to try a new approach. Sure. So take it hard, Stretcho, I understand. So he gets it. He's like, hey, why don't I go back? Presto, I'm elsewhere. And the Baxter building isn't even completed. And here is the Thing from FF2, just brooding, because he's a monster. He's hideous. He's not even like hideous in a cartoonish way like the Thing would become. What screams from the street? Bah, will I ever know peace? So this gal passed out looking at the current Thing, and let go of her, let go of my wife. Wherever you are trying, you shall not succeed. Turn, monster, turn and face me. This was so mind-blowing. Oh my God. This was like 78 or something like that. So mind-blowing that he tapped into that gross pile of like a piece of mud, that like Georgia clay. And it's like, holy, was I really that ugly? No wonder I always wanted to throttle Reed. Come on, pal. He goes, I'm not your pal. I am the Thing. And the Thing does not talk. He acts. Crash worthy of Kirby's Thor and Hercules bout, where they crushed a trailer between the two of them. But yeah, you look back on like this first, actually up to issue 4 with the Submariner, the thing was like, bah, he didn't care if the Human Torch quit the team. He's like, he's just a monster, blah, blah, blah. So, that's just great stuff. And he says, I used Doc Doom's time machine to... Doc Doom, you expect me to believe such a cornball name? Oh, no, this is before we met Doom. He's never heard of him. Nice touch there. And he breaks free. Kaboom! Or thaboom. Okay, get ready to get bruised. I think it's David Anthony Kraft. Wow, look at that close up. It actually would have been really cool if he could have redone this story and did the thing like he did in the 80s, where he kind of made it more blocky and not as smooth. So sooner or later, the Thing's ready to kill the old Thing until he remembers. Wait a minute. So we get the Rock'em Sock'em Robots until Ben wins. Gives them the serum. I love the features. I always like the transformation between the Thing and Ben Grimm, because the Thing is his face is so detailed. When the Hulk turns back to Bruce Banner, it is cool, but the Thing is just a little something extra. My hands are human. I love that. That's like a complete Kirby Dick Air swipe, but it works. It's awesome. So he's like, oh no, don't tell me you didn't. Oh, my reflection, and it can't be. My hand, I'm still the Thing. You don't understand, do you, old friend? Do you realize? Your past is immutable, Ben. You are what you are. Any change you made in the past results in another reality. A new one is caused by your presence. I'm sorry, Ben. I thought you knew. Skip. It wasn't a total waste. After seeing my old self face to face like that, I don't feel so bad about a kisser I got now. Heck, compared to him, I'm a regular Robert Redford. So this was... What I'm wondering is, I know Byrne had this established here. I think perhaps it's the first time the alternate universe that gets changed via time travel may have been this issue, but it may not. Also, Mark Grunwald, I believe he's the one who came up with a before he was an editor and writer for Marvel, he did a book called Omniverse. And, you know what, I just gotta write myself a note. That's what I've been thinking of. I wanted to buy it online. Omniverse. But he had like a fanzine that really looked at the Marvel Universe and tried to figure out what could be plausible. And he came up with that idea too. But I don't know if it was simultaneously. All I know is great. So, issue 50... still only 35 cents. Shitty price, because you're like a nickel shy of buying 3 for $1. But here we go. But I was halfway. Here is the final issue, number 100. This is the end, my one and only friend. And it is also written by John Byrne. Really nice splash there by Ron Wilson. And I can't remember who inked it. I'll see inside. Well, it starts off with that moment in time. And at that point, at which I was able to locate you and return you to the present. Now tell me something I don't know, big brain. What's all this old news? This is all old news. I'm going to try and encapsulate it. Let's see. You said I just created alternate reality, and I didn't quite cut it in a happy ending. That's why I wanted you to see the tape, Ben. I think the original assessment may have been erroneous. I now believe that you did not actually create a reality. Huh? My original theory was based on the important information I had on hand at the time. Since the information was incomplete, I may have jumped to a premature conclusion. And so you're going to magic up some new info? From where? And I see a newspaper that is New Amsterdam, which changed to New York City. That's the old Dutch name for New York before the British changed it. Precisely, Ben. And it would appear that in this alternate reality, in a time frame before you apparently altered history. You guys get all that? I'm not going to read every single thing, but I do have to kind of lay the groundwork as Reed tells it. Hang on, everybody. Here we go. But the basic data would seem to support the theory that this is an already existing alternate universe. Certainly that would eliminate the problem of explaining the origins of the fantastic amounts of energy the actual creation of a divergence universe would involve. I think maybe I would have preferred the mathematical calculations. Are you saying the time machine ain't a time machine after all? He goes, I cannot say at this point with absolute certainty, but it would appear that any attempt to travel back into one's past activates some sort of temporal safety valve. Thus, the traveler is still shunted sideways into a universe almost identical to his own. I have yet to deduce the precise mechanics of the procedure. Oh, I thought I was Ben Grimm, boy universe maker. It turns out I was a tourist the whole time. If I didn't actually womp up that universe by changing my own history, then it must have been there, the other me that was still there. It was there all along, precisely, Ben. He liked to say a lot, precisely. And that universe would have progressed through normal time just as we have. Thankfully, Sue saves the day. And she's like, okay. Takes the time machine, and he sees a gutted world, or at least a gutted New York City, but it's spread all over the world. He will learn later. Aftermath. Inked by Frank Giacoya and Kevin DeZubin, and I think they make a good team on that. I think they really do. And he's like on the 34th floor, so he has to, climb down, Die Hard style. And he runs into some stragglers that have been hiding amongst the debris. Well, he doesn't hurt them. He knows they're just down, down in their luck. Listen to me. The planet's been practically destroyed, and it's like they're just hiding to protect themselves. Here comes Ben. He's like, hey, you handsome devil. Hey, you handsome devil. So they see all these people in the subway that are being, they're helping the wounded and such. And the yellow color is okay for... usually I like that, but it would have been nice, because you have all this blue here, it would have been nice to individually color these people a little bit. So, it's like, come on to my little room. It's just some hastily made drapes. Galactus. That pesky Galactus guy. So, the FFR formed. Everyone was tickled pink for me. And he ran a bar. But Spider-Man filled in the place for Ben Grimm. And What If number 1, the original, he replaced Sue Storm because she felt she was being pushed out of the team by not giving anything to do. So they go through all this stuff. And then Galactus shows up. I don't see any Silver Surfer. That is kind of a major boner that they made. Actually, John Byrne did. See, and he zaps the torch as he did before, and there's a lot that Byrne missed on this, big time. And all these heroes come out after him. Okay. No Silver Surfer in sight, and where is the Watcher? Because he had the Deus Ex Machina, aka I thought I'm being so clever, the ultimate nullifier, but there's no such thing. So he devastates the planet, and there's some people still left behind, just a small amount, and there's some mutates underground, and because you gotta have a little bit of clobbering time in there. Whoop. So that's fun. And then the Red Skull shows up. Where did I show him before? Does he show up here? Hold on. I want to peek. Let's see. Wait a minute. I know they did a reveal earlier. damn it. Please be patient. I beg of you. You get him in the first place. Okay, there. Ah, okay. The Red Skull. So he was in suspended animation until this happened because Captain America was not revived. Because the Human Torch, he didn't defrost, he didn't take the beard off a Submariner who would then throw the ice that had Captain America in the water for him to thaw out. So the Red Skull is filling the power gap. Yeah, see? In that reality, once upon a time, I had me a fight with my junior partner, the Human Torch. He cut out and ran away. He ended in the Bowery where discovered a bearded old bum who turned out to be none other than person name or the Submariner. Soon he took off for his missing people, did all that stuff. And he just says, I guess, I figured out to be Captain America. It goes, Cap got thwarted and kept fighting, but it seems like you'd also be in suspended animation. Amazing story. It possesses sufficient evidence of truth. So, that's a great Kirby swipe. And I don't care, because Red Skull, you can always go Kirby. And he's got, I don't know why they don't call it the Satan Claw, which is what, oh gosh, I can't think of what his name is. The bad guy from Sergeant Fury. So, these people are being herded. And that's Alicia Masters. That is right out of... I think that was the original cover for Captain America 103 or 102, but the Comics Code changed it to a much simpler, cuddlier face. But either way, I know that was a Kirby face. And why not? Bloom. Okay, here we go. I wrote myself this note. See? You gotta do it sometimes. Okay, everything's back to normal. The dust of death gets blown back at Red Skull. Help me, I'm afraid. Yep, he's dead. So here's the thing. The two Bens are talking, and he says, only you're forgetting one thing. New York ain't the only difference between your reality and mine. When Galactus came to your Earth, he had this herald, the guy who called Silver Surfer. And it was only because the Surfer turned against Galactus that your Fantastic Four had time to find a way to stop him. And in this reality, there was no Surfer. And I'm like, why? And that's right, Ben. So whatever. And there's no Watcher. They didn't say anything about that because it was such a event of importance with Earth that Watcher had to show up and break his vow for the first time. So there you go. You got the yin and yang. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I'll be back before you know it. And have a great day and read more comics. Bye.